Hello everyone, today I will be showing you everything new with the Terraria crossover update in Don't Starve Together. In order to start with the new content, you're going to have to find the Terrarium chest, which is a chest that randomly spawns around the world. Opening it will create fire around it, give you a few random items and a new Terrarium. If you drop it on the floor and activate it at night, you will spawn the Eye of Terror. This boss is fairly simple as he only has 5000 health. His abilities include charging and laying eggs. The charge attack can be dodged pretty easily as long as you look out for when he does his spin animation. On top of that, the charge is a limited range, so it's entirely possible to dodge it by standing far enough away. His other main attack is the eggs he lays, which you want to destroy as quickly as possible. Otherwise you will be dealing with a lot of annoying mini eyes. Once you get him below 3500 health, his second phase begins, in which the eye turns into a mouth. In this phase he lays a lot more eggs at a time and charges a lot more often. It's definitely harder than the first phase, but if you're prepared then you should have no problem. Especially if you're in a group of people, because then he will just melt. Killing the Eye of Terror will give you a bunch of milky whites and the eye mask. The milky whites can be eaten for a little bit of health at the cost of sanity, or you can craft them into an eyeball pet. Very cool. The eye mask is a decent helmet item that protects you from 80% of damage. The great thing about this item is that you can actually feed it food to regain durability. You can have an infinite football helmet, like you just have low durability, feed it meatballs or something and bam, it's back to full health. After killing the Eye of Terror, the Terrarium will no longer have the little Terraria tree inside of it. However, it will regrow after about 15 days, which will allow you to fight him again. And honestly, I don't see why you wouldn't, because it's a very creative boss fight on top of being fun. A lot of the bosses in this game are a pain to fight, but this one is actually a really good time, even if it's not too difficult. However, if you're an expert looking for a bigger challenge, then why don't you try giving nightmare fuel to it? Feeding this tin nightmare fuel will corrupt the tree inside, and using it at night will spawn a different boss. The twins. These guys are really hard, and not in an unfair way, just really difficult. Like, I first tested this update with a group of people and we all got shredded by these guys. So if you plan on fighting the two mechanical eyes, then you better come with the best gear you have. Anyways, onto the actual boss fight itself. It's basically just like fighting an Eye of Terror, but twice. You have to dodge 2 eyeballs charging at you while dealing with double the eggs. On top of that, they both have 10,000 health. And a second phase which is exactly the same as the Eye of Terror's second phase. The real difficulty in this fight comes from the fact that you have to juggle 2 bosses at once. You have to kite 2 big monsters at once, and if you need healing, well then tough luck, because trying to find time to eat while 2 eyes charge at you is incredibly challenging. Once you kill your first eye, you get a variety of mechanical parts like gears and wires. After the second eye is dead, you get the real deal. The Shield of Terror. This is basically like the eye mask, but for your hand. It protects you from 80% of damage and can break quickly if you're not too careful with it. Luckily, just like the Shield of Terror, you can repair it easily by feeding it food. And on top of that, this shield that protects you also doubles as a pretty good weapon, dealing around the same damage as a tentacle spike. Like, this is a really creative reward for a really creative boss fight. You should definitely try getting this item early on. Now, one thing you need to know about these guys is that they will despawn the second the night ends. Meaning, you will lose all your progress unless you can beat 20,000 health in a single night. Just kidding. If you resummon them again, it will put their health values back to what they were before they despawned, meaning you have some time to prepare if you don't kill them all in one go. It's like a save point. This can also lead to the hilarious scenario where the boss despawns with 200 health and then you insta-kill it. And that's pretty much all the big stuff in this update. The other things include the new statues, which I absolutely love. Look at this eye thing. You can now just put down a statue that stares back at the player. This is probably one of the better statues just because it's an eye. There's also this slight nerf to meatballs. If you make meatballs with 3 eyes and 1 morsel, you will now get a new food item called rabbit stew, which is basically a significantly worse meatballs. If you use big meat and 3 eyes, you'll still get meatballs, and it's only for this one recipe with ice, but it's still a change that's there, so look out for that. There's also a new Terraria world gen setting which changes the world slightly. It's not too big of a deal, but it's worth mentioning. And of course, there's the many Terraria skins that are added, some of which you can get for simply opening the game. Regardless, that's everything in this update, so thank you for watching, and goodbye.